Hello everyone, hopefully I'm on air. The stars are against me again today with all the technology and everything. Hello everyone, hopefully I'm on air. The stars are against me again today. Sorry, I have to check if I was on air. All right, so yes, we are live finally, and I'm happy to see you. I didn't say, but because I'm presenting a webinar on advanced roses, but it doesn't mean that anybody with less experience than advanced can come as well. So there will be information for all levels of leather flower makers today. So I'm going to greet you in person and then I'm going to switch on to the presentation, hopefully. So whilst I'm here, I wanted to show you some of the roses live. I'm not sure, whether it's better than in the picture, but so that's the first one that is going to be made during the course. And that's another version of that, just in a different color as well. Another one of the upcoming roses is this one. So it's like quite a big showy one. You can make it, bigger still. The same version of that one, but hand dyed. So it looks like this. These are finished as brooches, but you can always finish them to put on your hats. And one more to show is quite a large one here as well. In the course, we'll make it a slightly smaller one, a wearable one. This is on a, on a stem, sort of stylized, heart-shaped, so to say. I'll show in the video of the lesson how to use the same technique and make, smaller roses with the stamens as well. So it's slightly different way of assembling roses. So let's turn to our presentation. It's going to probably take about an hour or an hour and a bit. And I'll explain, what's coming in the course and other important things along the way as well. So let's see. If I can. Let's see. Okay, I'm hoping you are able to see my screen at the moment, and we can talk about leather roses in more depth now. So the subject is specifics of working with leather when making roses and other leather flowers. The talk is going to be about, as usual, I'll say a couple of words about myself. Hopefully you already know me, but there might be some people who don't. Then we'll talk about why, we need to think about leather flowers. What do they have, what is there in it for us? Can we make flowers without using specialist tools, if it's possible or not? And if yes, which flowers? That information will be really good for those who are only thinking about making leather flowers, before they commit and invest into anything, whether they can try it, without it. Without spending much money, say. Then we can talk about more advanced flower making techniques in leather. as well as discuss necessary tools and supplies for making leather flowers. And finally, I will be presenting my brand new video course on 4 advanced leather roses. These roses have never been featured in any tutorials before, and they will only be sold as a package like this, because that's how the course has been designed. So you have, a different level of difficulty coming from the simpler, start from the simpler one and going to a more complicated one, yet the simplest is still not very simple. Either the assembly or the dyeing moment in it. So they're all more or less advanced. Some of them were available before during my workshops, but a lot of people who buy my tutorials are not from the UK, so they can't really come for a workshop. So this course is meant to make sure the information is available for those who can't attend the course, or just prefer to work at their own pace at home. And obviously, it's cheaper than traveling and coming for a course, although you can't beat hands-on workshop either. But for those especially who can't, attend my workshops, this is a really good course to have in mind. I don't believe there is any more in-depth information on leather roses out there in the video format. Leather flowers are pretty rare compared to silk. So hopefully this course will be useful for you if you want to expand your knowledge in making leather roses and make some unique pieces unlike everybody else. So a couple of words about me. My name is Svetlana Faulkner. I live in the United Kingdom, but I'm a Russian-born. I've been making leather and silk flowers for more than 8 years now, and really enjoying it still. There's still a lot of ideas going on. I live in Norwich, Norfolk, UK. So if you are thinking about coming for a workshop, you're very welcome. I still offer some. For the time being, I don't know how things are going to develop further on. From 2011, I have been developing my flower accessory brand, which is called Present Perfect Creations. So if you've been to my website, you already know the name. As I said, I teach online as well as in person. So you can, combine both, buy just online products, come in person, so whatever suits you. I will be at the London Hat Week as well, with demonstrations on leather as well as fabric flowers. So if you want to, meet me or come and listen to my talk show, see what I have to show in terms of techniques, you're very welcome. So I think there are still tickets available. It's going to be, I think, 16th, 17th, or 17th, 18th of April. So you'll see it on the London Hat Week website. My flower pieces have been featured in some magazines in several countries, including Britain, Australia, and Japan. And a couple of words for those who, are only starting: don't be disheartened. I have not always made flowers, advanced flowers like I've just shown at the beginning of the webinar. I started with more humble flowers, you can see in the picture now. They were made out of synthetic fabrics, and it was a very simple technique, although then it looked pretty revolutionary for me. You can start with simple but progress, and eventually arrive at very advanced flowers. Just a bit of patience and a sprinkle of knowledge, as always. So then I turned to silk flowers. You can see they look more realistic. They were hand dyed, so more sophisticated as well, shapes as well as coloring. And also tried making hats, because obviously hats and flowers is a marriage made in heaven. Flowers have probably always been used to decorate hats, and it's a good trim as well, especially that we can make flowers in very different shapes, colors, and styles, fabrics as well. So then I turned to leather as well. Was intrigued by the material and thought, what I could do with that. And it's difficult to say now, which flowers I like more. I think I make 50-50, 50% fabric, 50% leather, and sell about the same. So the materials are very different. Both lend themselves quite well to flowers, as you can see in the pictures, and really interesting to work with. So I can't say I prefer one to another. I like the advantages that they give to us in terms of what effects we can achieve. So depending on what the task in hand is, you choose either leather or fabric and then go from there. There are some fabric flowers that are difficult to make or impossible to make in leather, and vice versa. But I think still leather is probably more original as well as rarer to find. In this picture, I've included some of my most probably famous designs, silk butterflies, and leather ones as well, as the case may be, including the dandelion as well. So tutorials on these flowers and butterflies you can find on my website. So if you want to try making them as well for your own designs, you're very welcome. So let's talk why we should think about making leather flowers. Why are they interesting? Well, leather is a luxury material. It does cost probably more than some fabrics, but it also attracts premium. You can create some original shapes with leather. In the picture here, you can see some of my black and white designs from a collection some time ago, and there are 9 flowers in the photo, and they're all different shapes. So you can see leather lends itself really well to very different shapes and forms. There won't be any cheap substitutes for leather flowers, whereas with silk, you can get away by buying some cheap China-made flower. You won't be able to do it with leather, for better or for worse. Even, you can't even buy cheap leather flowers from China, not possible. So if you make a leather flower, it will definitely be, your own make from scratch. And you can charge for it, I hope. So some designs can be really breathtaking, especially if you include a bit of tinting or coloring into leather. It's even difficult to say that it's leather. Although some people think that leather is more like autumn, winter, spring type of material, I can say that you can easily use leather flowers in your summer designs. Again, especially when you include a bit of coloring element, which is more like watercolor effect. So they look really delicate and tender, and you can color match with the outfit. So definitely an all season material. And I'm hoping that, with offering more leather flowers, you can command a higher price tag for your work as well. I think people automatically assume leather is quite an expensive material, so they sort of understand that the price can be higher, especially if they like it. I'm sure there are people who don't like leather and, don't want to deal with it, but unfortunately, then they're not our customers. So, looking at all this abundance of flowers, different techniques and shapes, you can easily say that there is a leather flower for every time and occasion. Flowers without specialist tools, if it's possible or not. In silk flower making, I would say probably not, because you will need some tools, some millinery tools to shape your fabrics into 3D shapes and achieve decent flowers. With leather, however, it's quite possible. And the flower in the picture that you can see in the picture is one of my best-selling tutorials on wild leather rose, and that's made just using your hands and a pair of tweezers. So a lot of shaping in leather flower making happens with hands, Some flowers you can make just using your hands, nothing else. And some flowers you can make with hands and tweezers. They don't have to be any specialist. They have to be comfortable and deliver the result that we expect from them. And of course, you can also use flower shaping tools on leather as well with care. So the hydrangea on the hat here has been made without using any specialist tools, not even tweezers. And flowers that can be made without specialist tools include anything from roses, sunflowers, poppies, cornflowers, hydrangeas. You can make grapes, other berries, and more. So it means that, before you have to commit and invest in a set of flower making tools, you can try for yourself making leather flowers and decide whether you like it or not before committing, to any expenses really. Obviously, you will need some leather, but that's probably about it. A bit of glue, hands, and a bit of wire. So it's quite an interesting material to work with, and you can see that it delivers nice results with less effort, I would say, less than in fabric. So if we want to go a bit more advanced, we can combine hand shaping and tweezers with millinery tools. So in this picture here, that's what's happened. So the flower is a bit, more sophisticated, more shaping there, more shaping on the leaves. Another thing to try is to combine leather and fabric. So fabric gives more body to the leather. It gives a better finish. It helps conceal the wires. In the pictures, you can see the back of a maple leaf brooch. That's from one of my tutorials as well. So here the golden metallic fabric gives a nice finish to the back of the brooch, as well as keeps the wires away, and also gives more body to the leaf, because the brooch is just one leaf. Excuse me. In the picture on the right, it's a headpiece with bluebells. So each bluebell petal has been backed onto blue silvery metallic fabric. Again, we hid the wires and we gave more body to our flowers. So that's quite an interesting combination, and I often use it in my work, whether it's for leaves or sometimes for petals, leather petals as well. Another technique, advanced technique when working with leather is dyeing or tinting leather with silk dyes. So I use the same dyes that I work, with fabric flowers. I have to say straight away that, when I say dyeing leather, it doesn't mean that we can take red leather and dye it into yellow, or we can take green leather and dye it into red or something like that. We can't dramatically change the color of our skin. What we can do is take paler leathers, usually white cream. Here in the picture, it was yellow suede, and then I tinted it with red and green to add, realistic effects. It's quite pale, so that's why I'm saying it's more like a watercolor effect. You can make it slightly brighter by using more concentrated dye or applying it several times, but it's not like changing the color dramatically. You have to remember this. And also these flowers are not, the coloring is not going to be color fast, but for me it's not a problem, because the flowers are not waterproof anyway, so you can't put them in the rain and hope that the color stays and the shape stays. Both will go probably at the same time, so it doesn't matter if the color is not color fast in this case. We will be exploring that tinting technique in the course, and you will see how it works. We can talk a little bit, I wanted to say a couple of words about the pitfalls of making leather flowers, whether there are mistakes that, you can run into or issues. So obviously choice of material. we are going to talk about what the leather to choose in a couple of minutes, but obviously, you know, the thickness and the quality of leather is important. You can't use just any leather because some will not work at all. You have to keep an eye on the stiffener. So before stiffening the whole, you know, lot of petals, maybe it's wise to do a couple of samples with your stiffener and see how it works. You know, it's bad to under stiffen your leather and it's bad to over stiffen it. So if it's too stiff, it becomes brittle, it starts ripping, and it's very hard to work with. It stops being pliable and stretchy. If you understiffen it, it's limp, it's not going to hold its shape. So, you know, either our extremes are not so good. So finding that golden middle is a good idea. Foiled leathers are tricky to work with. They're not probably suitable for the flower making that I'm showing here. In the picture, you see the back of one of my daffodil brooches. So I used it as a backing material, which looks nice there. But when you start stiffening it, the foil just comes off the leather. So that's why when it's used, it's mainly flat designs. So people just cut out, you know, petals and just stack them together. I have not seen anything really shaped with tools, tweezers, or anything like that when foiled leathers are used. Chrome dyed leathers are okay to work with, but for some designs they wouldn't shape as well as we want them to. So if you need to use it because you need that color, you can get away with it, but it's not the best leather to use for flower making. Tools as well, you know, if you decide to invest in a set of tools, please be careful and make sure you are investing in the right one. There's quite a lot of makers which sell tools online. One of the examples in the photo is not a good set. You can see obviously the manufacturer was trying to save on tools that are tiny. They're screw on, so you will be having problems trying to find the suitable soldering iron for it, so it's not going to be easy. Also, the shapes of the tools are not really good either, so it looks like a poor copy of some other set. To me, especially when you're starting out, you'll find it really difficult to work with a bad set like this. So, you know, do your research and try to buy from a reputable seller or person who works with tools and understands what they're for. Tweezers are quite important. I don't insist they have to be a flower shaping tweezers. They can be, maybe you already own a pair, but they have to have flat, straight tips, and they have to have a very good grip. So when you grip a layer of leather or several layers of fabric, these materials should stay in between and not slip out when you're curling them. So that's important. Also, very good sharp scissors. And when I say good sharp scissors, I don't mean dressmaking scissors or fabric scissors, because those are pretty useless for when we're making, you know, flowers. They're okay for cutting a piece of fabric on a straight line. That's fine. But here you will need some maneuverable scissors, quite, you know, medium size, I would say, not small. Which can, you know, cut both fabric and leather and be very sharp, and you can cut out dainty, sometimes very serrated parts with ease. So that's very important. Assembly of leather flowers, probably, you know, a lot of techniques here come from fabric flowers. So if you have previous experience in this field, it will be easier for you, because the principles are similar, but obviously with some adjustments, because leather is a thicker material, we won't be able to make roses with so many petals sometimes as we do with fabric. There are fabric roses that have 160 petals and more, so that's a bit too much for roses made of leather, so we take this into account. You have to achieve an overall realistic, natural, or attractive, stylized look in your flowers. And in the coming course, there will be 4 different roses, which will all have 4 quite different looks. So that's, you know, more for you to work with, and then you can elaborate them and achieve some, you know, some more roses or rose shapes from them. So let's now talk a little bit about the right tools and supplies that you need for making leather flowers. Obviously, you will need some leather because it's leather flowers. So I already talked a little bit about the chrome dyed leather. My favorite one is aniline dyed lambskin. Aniline dyed means the dye goes through the leather, and it's usually the same color on the right and on the wrong side. Whereas chrome, it's different because I think they're colored from, you know, they colored from the right side first and then from the wrong side. So from two sides, and that's why the color is not really the same. Aniline dyed skins are really nice to work with, but they have a drawback because the way the skins are dyed, all the little imperfections, scratches, and blotches that animal skin had, they are still seen on the surface because this type of dye doesn't cover it. But because we make flowers, we can always, you know, work around the imperfections, just not include them in the petals, or you can include them, you know, at the bottom of the petal where you know it's not going to be seen. Chrome dyed leathers look more perfect because the way the dye is applied, it just conceals everything. But if you scrape it, you might see the gray leather underneath, so that might come off. As I said before, when, you know, if you really need that particular color to use in your design, then you can go for chrome dyed leather, but just remember that it might not be as pliable as some aniline dyed ones. Suede can easily be used as well, and I often use it in my designs. Suede can also be used for dyeing. So if you don't have any leather for dyeing, use suede. That will work quite well. And leather for dyeing, I'm going to use some in the course. I'll show you. I have not found the supplier to recommend you just yet. I have some supply of these skins in my, you know, personal stash, but as soon as I have some supply that I could recommend, I'll let you know. So that basically these are the skins that have had minimal treating and don't have any sealant on top. So if you put them in water, they get wet straight away. You know, if you don't have this particular leather, you can try any white leather, see how it works, or cream or beige. So just choose some from your selection and try dyeing them. It might still work, maybe a bit more, with a bit more effort, because they won't get as wet easily. Or as I mentioned before, try using white or cream suede to start with. In the kits for this course, there will be leather for dyeing, you know, for the first row, so you can try. Tools. So tools for leather flower making include hands. I should probably have put it first. So our hands do quite a lot of shaping. Then we also use tweezers, and I've explained what tweezers you will need. And also you can use millinery tools on leather flowers and butterflies in the picture as well. Be careful when you're using your flower shaping tools on leather, because leather doesn't take as much heat. It's, you know, just like our skin. If you touch it with a hot tool like that, don't do it. But if you did, you know, you'll get burned. So same happens with leather. It can shrivel, it can burn, it will smell unpleasantly. So you have to constantly check the temperature of your tools on a spare bit of leather, and make sure that, you know, it's cool enough. It has to be warm enough to shape, but cool enough not to burn. Glue is quite important as well as in silk flower making. Here we use mainly two types of glue. One is used for stiffening leather, so it holds its shape. Here you can use any decent quality, just normal PVA glue I used from a craft shop, from a hobby shop. And when you get it, please first try it on some scraps of leather, to identify what quantities, what ratio you need between leather and water, between glue and water to stiffen your leather, and B, to see whether this glue leaves any marks or streaks or stains or makes for example, your white leather yellow. So it shouldn't be any of that. If there are any issues with the glue that you've chosen, you need to probably change it to something else. So that's for the stiffening glue. Assembly is done with a really thick glue, which dries, and it's like more like a brick you can kill with it. So in the picture here, I have a Japanese brand glue that you can use for these purposes. I also offer some glue that I use for both leather and fabric flowers, and that can be used as well. So we don't sew leather flowers. It's impossible the way these flowers are made, as well as really probably impossible in both ways. Well, it would be too thick to sew anything. So it's all glued, but it's glued using very, very thick glue that can hold lots of petals together. So glue is quite important. Fabrics. So as I showed before, you can combine some fabrics with leather for more advanced designs or for specific designs. It's better to use some specialist fabrics here probably, or if you work with both leather and fabric flowers, it wouldn't be a problem for you. So in the picture, there are some metallic fabrics that can be used for backing leather leaves or petals, depends on on your design. Also, we use fabric for assembling leaves into branches, because leather is going to be a bit too thick for that. You can probably use paper, but I don't personally like it, and it's probably not strong enough to hold leaves together for me. Also, you can use some silks, maybe a silk satin can work as well, a bit of a heavier one. So for backing some petals, depends on the design in question, but there will be some fabrics used in leather flowers as well. You can buy ribbons, either thin silk ribbon or thin rayon ribbon for assembling your twigs or branches. That works quite well as well. I will be showing in the video how to do it. Or just a meter of very light scarf type silk will last you a long time for your leather flowers. Dyes. So as I mentioned before, I just use the dyes that I use for silk flowers, which are fiber reactive Procyon type dyes. They're cold water dyes, and we're not going to be fixing them in any way on leather. Yes, they're not going to be color fast, but the idea is that the flowers are not waterproof anyway, so there's no real need for fixing the dye in any way on them. In the picture, you can see a rose that has been dyed using this dye. The color is quite bright, so you could probably have made it even brighter if you needed. Some additional supplies that you might want to use in your leather flowers is you will need wires. You might want to use stamens in some roses and other flowers. Ribbons, as I said, there are paper ribbons that can be used for hiding wires, or silk or fabric ribbons, say, that are quite thin and help you assemble the branches together, and also back the leaves and the petals sometimes. So to learn more about flowers, you can do it either through in-person workshops, or if you can't get to a person who teaches leather flowers, you can buy video and photo tutorials and work at home using them. So people's priorities or preferences differ. So some are okay with photo tutorials, others prefer video tutorials. I've done a number of photo tutorials on leather flowers, which you can find on my website. So this time it's a course on, it's a video course on more advanced techniques on leather flowers. So I don't know, hopefully that will be more easy to follow and understand. So we'll see what you will say. So now it's time to talk a little bit about my new course. So you see here are the 4 different roses that are included in the course. And they're all differently shaped, and different techniques are used for assembling shape in each of them. There is a stamen rose and a couple of bud style roses and a David Austin style rose. So also we'll do a rose on a stem, so I'll show how to do that in case if you want to either make it on a stem, make it as a interior piece of interior decor, or you want to put it on a hat or headband like this. So that can be an option. Also, it can work as a buttonhole, just with a shorter stem if you want. So different applications for them. Several roses are flat backed, which is very, very good and very useful always, either for brooches or again as head trims. So the results of the course that you should expect to have by the time you've completed it, you can see the list here. So I'd like you to learn more about leather rose flower making, to find some more shapes or discover or rediscover them. So you will master 4 differently shaped roses, which each of them use different techniques as well of petal shaping. I will show how to work with your leather skins to maximize the yield, or to use all parts of the skins to your advantage. You will finish roses in different ways for different applications, including, as I said, the stem rose. There will be flat brooches and brooches with stems. So you will be able to create 4 different leather roses for your projects, or for yourself personally. I always say to the students to make roses maybe already keeping in mind what projects they can use them on. So for example, if you are going to make a certain hat, maybe try and make the rose that you can use for that hat, instead of just making a rose which is not meant for any piece or anything like that. So it's better to make them purposefully so that you can use them straight away, rather than just put them on a shelf. And I'm hoping that you can increase the value and price of your pieces by creating these bespoke, very detailed, sophisticated leather flowers that you can also now even dye to match outfits. these leather roses that are going to be perfect for an ideal for your project or for your piece that you're making at the moment. So a couple of words about the course. It's in a video format. It's located in a dedicated area of my website, which you can join and come back to and rewatch the videos as you want. It's going to be scheduled at the beginning, which means we are starting on the 10th of February for 4 weeks. So if you were with me during the Silk Rose video course, you understand what I mean. So each Monday, you have a first lesson of a new rose available. Then Tuesday it's another lesson, and Wednesday it's the third lesson. Then you have a couple of days till the end of the week to complete the rose, and you have a quiz, like a bit of a questionnaire at the end of the week on Sunday. I'm not going to be judging very strictly. The roses are going to be opening up, each rose on a following Monday, irrespective whether you finished the previous one or not. So it's up to you, but I hope you will. The quiz is, again, just for you to check how you've understood the materials, the techniques. It's probably a bit more technical questions. Nothing depends on it, so it's just really for you. The course is, as the name suggests, it's advanced level, so I'm not really inviting anybody with no knowledge of any flower making or leather flower making in particular to this course, because it will be difficult. The lessons are very detailed, but I assume in them that you already know about leather and about flower making. So I might not be explaining the very, very, very basics, or my pace might be quite advanced. All these roses, as I said, are new. Some are completely new. Others were available before during my workshops, but that was still a very rare occasion. I am offering DIY kits for this course if you prefer to work with those. As the system is set up at the moment, you'll have to buy the course and buy the kits separately. So they're in separate parts of my website. There will be a link in the course description to the kits as well. So because we're starting in about 12 days time, there is time for you to order the kits now, so that they arrive, before the first lesson or within the first week of the course. I've put a question mark about the closed Facebook group. I can do it, if we want to have it. It proved to be useful before in the previous courses. If we want to have it, I don't mind setting it up so we can share, our makes and ask questions in a confined environment if you want. And a couple of words about the roses. So there will be 4 roses included. The discreet charm that's in the picture. So it's like a smaller bud type rose, but very important to master. That's why we're starting with it. I'm showing some tinting dyeing techniques on this simpler rose, and also you can see that it's quite a nice swirly center in the middle. So that's what we're going to be achieving. And again, you can elaborate on this design, add a bit more petals, make it a bit larger if you want, or make it at different stages and combine into like a corsage or a bouquet, even if you want. And things like that. So Pure Love is like a heart-shaped rose. You can make it large on a stem. I will show how to make it a bit smaller and probably use on a hat, on a headband, or as quite a showy brooch. English rose is a David Austin-esque type rose with lots of frilly petals in the center. That again is nice as a brooch or as a hat trim or whatnot. And Royal Secret is a bud type rose with a closed center, but quite a lot of petals to go around it. So it's a nice showy big rose that I had on the hat at the beginning of the presentation. Let me find it quickly. Here. So here, that's the one that we're gonna be making last one during the course. So you can see it, you can add it to quite a small base, and it's already quite a big fascinator. So coming back to what we've been talking. Right, so this course can be useful. As I said, it's not a beginner's course. It's it's meant more for milliners or textile jewelry designers, either textile, leather, bridal accessory makers, and other creators who want to expand their knowledge on flower making or rose flower making. This is a David Austin type rose that we're going to make in the course. So you can see them here. This advanced video course is not for you if you have no experience in leather flower making at all, if you have never made a rose, either leather or fabric, if you don't have a set of tools, and if you don't want to spend hours creating your flowers, because it is going to be a bit of a time commitment as well, but the results are usually very impressive. And last but not least, there will be a bonus tutorial on intermediate. It's going to be a photo tutorial at the end of the course on the 5th week. Intermediate rose with hand-dyed petals, and you will get it for free if you join before Monday, 3rd of February 2020. So if you join the course till the end of this week, you will get this bonus tutorial for free. As you can see, I have not got a picture for you to show, so it's a bit of a mystery rose, but it's going to be a free bonus. So effectively, you're going to get 5 roses in the course for the price of 4 if you join early enough. Also, at the moment is going to be the lowest possible price. So I'm going to offer the course for £109 till the end of till midnight tomorrow. I really wanted to do it till midnight tonight, but I thought it would be unfair on those who were not able to join us because of the big time difference, which there are people. So this lowest price is going to be kept until midnight tomorrow, and then the price is going to grow. So if you really would like to join and you would like to save your money, it's time to join now. So let me activate the course so you could go and buy it, and I'll see if there are any questions which I need to answer. As I mentioned before, if you want to have DIY kits, they will have to be purchased separately in the separate section of the website. So I think the course should be available for purchase now. I don't know if you can try it. I'm hoping there will be a recording of this webinar, so if you want to rewatch it, you can do it. I'll be sending out an email tomorrow with details of the course again and the offer for you and all those who couldn't join today because of time difference or other commitments. So hopefully they can also listen to it if they want to and see, you know, if they want to join the course. But I'm sure that there isn't anything at this level out there, at least in English, for you to, you know, purchase and work at home and make leather flowers to that advanced level. So if you would like to learn it, you're very welcome to the course and, you know, buy it at the cheapest price possible, which is available at the moment. And I don't know whether I'm gonna make any more video courses on leather. We'll see. I have some ideas about fabric flowers next, but this is quite an interesting course, and all the, you know, the flowers are all new, as I said before. So it was nice talking to you today, even though we are not in one room, but still an opportunity to connect. And, you know, if you have any questions, I don't see any at the moment here, but if you have any questions, please email them to me, or, you know, if you're not sure where to, whether you'd like to join or you still have questions about the course, so you're welcome to, you know, email me. Once you have purchased the course, you will be able to download the list of materials and tools that are required for the course straight away. If you need tools, I still have some sets available at the moment, so you can purchase them now, and they should still be delivered before the beginning of the course, as well as other bits like tweezers, rubber pads, glue, and things like that. So please let me know if there are any questions about the course or about tool supplies that you will need. But pretty much it's the same as we always use for flower making, nothing really different. You know, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye. Speak soon.